For Canada Week in one-up racing competition, the Superstar Series heads up north to the Road 1 International Circuit, a very undulating, very long, very fast 4.7-mile circuit in the heart of Canada for race number 14 of the 2024 One-Up Superstar Series this season. And if you remember last year's race, you'll remember it all descended into chaos on the final lap. They've taken some steps in series regulations to make sure that doesn't happen again this year. So while the action will still be on the racetrack, it won't devolve into a fuel strategy last dash chaos race at the very end. And alongside me to bring you all the action once again is James Ellison for today's race. And well, there's a lot of corners on this track, but there's a lot of high-speed sections as well. And with much bigger fuel cells compared to last year, we shouldn't see any of the chaos we saw on the final lap a year ago.
Absolutely. That was an interesting one to watch. I remember it very well, and I'm looking forward to seeing things play out a little more to everybody's liking in this time around. But still a lot of unknowns going into this race. I mean, it's the same circuit and a lot of the same contenders, but at the same time, it can still be a mystery as to who's going to win, even if you have some favorites to pick out.
Absolutely, and considering this is the same track, same race length, and the same amount of carnage you expect at Road 1, this is going to be really interesting to see who can prevail after 19 laps here at Road 1, as we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 19-lap event. Bobo Jones takes his first pole position of the season alongside Duke Anzac, who gets his best start of 2024. Sam Donota, Mark Davey, Emma Kruger complete the top 5, and boy, if there was ever a driver who needed a turnaround really quickly, it's the driver of that 70 car. 32nd in the owner's points going into this race. First time ever that team has had to go through go home qualifying, but this is a race that Emma Kruger won last year, so if there's ever a place to rebound, it's right here.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch because, like you said, Emma needs a big turnaround right now, and not the only driver either. There's a lot of drivers here looking for a turnaround, and some of them who've had some pretty good seasons just looking to finally seal the deal. I mean, you got several of them that are running about mid-pack that have been really good. They're starting mid-pack, I should say, who are going to be running really hard to try to get up there and get that first win of the season or first win ever in their career, depending on who you look at.
So with that being said, we have 42 drivers ready to take on the longest track in the One-Up Series here today. Road 1 International, 4.7 miles each lap, 19 of them to do, and we are ready to get you that action underway. This is the One-Up Superstar Series from Road 1 International, and the green flag is mere moments away from getting this great race underway once again. Getting set for 19 laps here at Road 1, Jones and Anzac on the front row, getting ready to lead us to the green flag, which is now in the air. We are underway at Road 1 International. Bobo Jones with a fantastic launch off the line. He gets clear of Duke Anzac, pulls up in front of him as the field of 42 barrels off into a very tight turn 1.
Very tight turn 1, and there's already some contact back there I saw. They held it together, but
yeah, it looks like everybody's making it through turn 1 for the moment. We got some contact out of 2, though. It's Jeff Bolton in the 38 going for a slide.
Yeah, it looked like there was going to be some serious trouble up in the front, but then it ended up being at the back. And
whoa, Crown turns Mahendra and Aaron Hall into the gravel trap. Bouchard gets turned off the bumper, and Liam Nolan.
Yeah, this is definitely not turning out to be a very good race there. As you see Jeff Bolton, he's going to gain a couple spots back. He's stuck in the sand.
But the leaders barrel it off now into turn 6. Jones ahead of Anzac. Mark Davey up to 3rd. Donato falls back a little bit. He's now 4th as Lane Sanders gets tipped, as does Cale Tescar Jr. They're both going to lose quite a bit of track position on the opening lap here.
Yeah, that is. I know Lane is going to be mad, probably wanting to go back after whoever it is, unless he's calmed down by the time he gets there. But, well, one thing for sure, Bobo Jones, he's free and clear for the moment.
Yes, and he's got quite a big lead over Duke Anzac as far as this track's concerned. They barrel it off now, down towards the turn 11 before heading back down the hill towards turn 12 and 13. This is the downhill section, downhill braking. So it looks like we had a crash further back in the pack. We're looking to try and find the culprit for it now. Oh, Bouchard goes around. We got big damage. Davidson out of the race, as is Jeff Bolton in his second crash of the lap. Joshua Michaels as well. He was the points leader going into today.
And he's one of the drivers that I didn't mention by name, but was alluding to when I was talking about wanting to finally close the deal on a first win. And not going to happen today, obviously. Which is a big shame.
But for now, it's Bobo Jones leading the field through turn 16, heading into 17 and 18 now, and back onto the front straightaway to complete a very chaotic opening lap of this race. Bobo Jones will lead the opening lap ahead of Anzac, but that's at least 5 cars that are going to be, if not out of the race, going to be severely damaged for the rest of the afternoon.
And up here toward the front, things have settled down just a little bit. But, of course, I say that, Mark Davies starts putting a little bit more pressure on Duke there, and we look at the back of the field. And
Keon Daly hits pit road. He had a lot of damage. Ricky Freeman Jr. doing the same. And Chrissy Spletzer also with a lot of damage on pit road in the 86. Their day looks to be over as Bobo Jones continues to lead the field, heading down through turn 4.
Cleanly through turn 4, and he didn't have to worry about anyone having pressure on him. And this could be big if he could lead all the laps and win, although I say that and the 83 starts closing in.
Not just him, but the 97 of Mark Davey. He has a lot of road course talent under him, but it's been a while since he's last won a road course race in the Superstar Series, so going to be interesting to see if he can put on the pressure against the top 2. But as they head on to the backstretch, this up and down backstretch, it's very unique to this racetrack. Most of the field single file. The first battle for position, I believe, is for 9th place.
And that is going to be the thing. As they stretch out a bit, the battles are going to get less and less, and I would expect that the crashing will get less unless you get a mechanical failure and people can't get out of the way. But I'm gonna shut up about that now before I jinx somebody as they go through these turns. Looks like they're all single file throughout the top 10 now.
So far, so good for the top 10 runners as we head now down towards turn 14. This double apex left-hander of 14 and 15. Denoto now trying to make a move underneath Mark Davey. That is for the 3rd position. He took a lot of curve on 15. That's going to cost him a little bit of time here as they go through 16. Aaron Hall into the pit lane with a lot of damage from his excursion as the field cycles through turn 18 to complete the 2nd lap.
And once again, Bobo Jones still your leader, but until something happens, like no matter what it is, I don't expect him to give this up.
But keep in mind, we do have a green flag pit cycle to make. Even with the expanded fuel cells, you can't make it on one tank of gas. You're going to have to be in around lap 11 to 13, so these guys have got to be mindful of that, and that could very well decide the outcome of this race, especially when you consider the tires here do not fall off.
And you see here AJ Jones coming in. He got damaged somewhere.
A few stragglers back in the field as well. Sanders, Gale, Davidson's out of the race. I was looking at Daniel Bouchard, but that's still a lot of cars that are going to be off pace for the rest of the day.
And I'm pretty sure I saw Ricky Freeman Jr. back out on track. That is going to see something that the leaders will eventually have to contend with, is these wounded cars that could play a role in their battles for position.
And keep in mind, while this is a very long racetrack, it's also a very aero-dependent racetrack. So these guys are going to have their work cut out for them, trying to find their way past the lap traffic, especially when they're going so much slower, and the high-speed sections, especially like this one, going into turn number 10.
And talk about high speed. Sure looks like that 16's got some pretty good speed in it, as Mark Davey applying pressure to Duke Anzac once again here.
And remember, it's been a long time since Bobo Jones has been to victory lane. It's been since Bristol back in 2020 that he last won a race, so he is very desperate to get this victory. here at Road 1. All things considered, he's doing a really good job with an ever-expanding lead, especially when you consider that the guys behind him, Anzac, Davey, and even Denoto back there, they're all battling for the second position.
Yeah, and it's looking like right now, Anzac and Davey are in a little bit of a battle of their own, even if they ain't looking like much of a battle right now. They're pulling away from Denoto.
And as you can see, we already have 4 cars out of this race. Joshua Michaels, Zayden Davidson, Jeff Bolton, and Chrissy Spletzer all out on the opening lap. After that crashes, it looks like Jake McMillan, who was running 9th, is going to hit pit road here, but that's a very early stop for the 21 team.
I wonder if that's a strategy or if he's got something else going on. As David leads on Anzac, and Duke's going to fight back here, but this fighting is going to allow Bobo to pull away a little bit, and it's bringing Denoto into the picture here. This is going to get interesting.
And this couldn't be a strategy call for McMillan. He's basically locked himself now into a 2-stop race. So the guy who led all but 1 lap a year ago here is now going to face an uphill battle to even get in the top 10 at the rate things are going now. As Denoto and Davey, they're almost touching doors coming through turn 5. They do bang doors as they hit the brakes for turn 6.
All right, guys, settle down. You get to beating and banging too early, your day's going to be over. You already saw what happened on lap 1.
But they continue to remain side by side, heading towards turn 8, and the chicane that follows. 7, 8, and 9, these guys are still side by side, but it looks like the 97 is going to win out there. And not just him, but Emma Kruger in the 70 is going to try and fight her way past her teammate Denoto.
Yeah, that's the downside about some aero-dependent tracks. You end up getting side by side with somebody, and that allows people behind you, if they're single file, to just catch right on it up.
But Kruger is past now, and it looks as though there's no lap traffic anywhere in front of the leaders. They can focus on running their own race for now. But notice Duke Anzac, he's actually gained a little bit of time on Bobo Jones, considering that the 2 behind him started fighting each other. So Anzac starting to close in on the 16. Remember, he's looking for his first win in a long time.
Yeah, 2 guys hungry for wins here. And then you got Mark Davey, who's had some recent successes. And then Emma Kruger, we don't need to repeat what we know about her season.
But as they hit the brakes now for turn 17, Bobo Jones holds the lead, which he has held since the start of this race. We're on lap number 4, coming to complete lap number 4, I should say. And the lead at the top, it's probably going to go down a little bit as they cross the line. We'll see by how much. Yeah, they do cut it down by 4/10 that lap.
4/10, and who knows how many more, because he no longer has pressure from Davey since the 97 had to deal with the 2 teammates behind him.
But look at that fast lap turned by Miles Mashburn, 2:19.7 on the last lap. That's the fastest of anybody this race, and it just goes to show you how the tire fall off is non-existent here. These guys will continue to pump in fast lap after fast lap in this race, well into a run. There he is, right back there, just outside the top 10 and 13.
And he's right behind Fitzy and a few others. And you got the 00 up there, and he's doing a good job. And you know, Spa needs that after what happened to Lane.
And there is Jake McMillan. He is now all the way deep in the field after that pit stop. Jeffrey Finguy got some damage in that opening skirmish. Here's Lane Sanders. He's committing himself to a 2-stopper now, although I don't think he wants to be there. He just needed to address something on that race car.
Some damage he got from that close call he had on the first lap, more than likely. And now it looks like Bubba was able to keep Duke at bay, but for how much longer?
And now that Mark Davies clear of his battle, he's now closing in back onto the top 2. So we got a 3-car battle for the lead once again as they make their way through turn 11, then back down the hill. This is one of the toughest braking zones in 1-up right here. Hitting the brakes hard downhill for turn 13.
Yeah, that's the tough challenge here. Not having too much speed, not having enough speed going uphill can get you in trouble. But having too much speed going downhill on the other side can get you in even bigger trouble. So that's the big test here with these cars, is on the gas pedal and on the brakes as you go downhill.
Remember last year, Brandon Beal had a really serious accident there. He got turned going into that corner and hit the wall nearly head on. He was fine, but that just goes to show you the danger level of that braking zone. But everybody's managed to navigate it pretty well so far. As we complete 5 laps, Mark Davey drawing a bead on Duke Anzac for the runner-up spot.
And these two get to fighting. That'll just allow that 16 to pull away.
Well, like this?
Yeah, it's like they're making contact yet again. So that's not going to help them, especially because you got what you know it. We talked about it. She's desperate. She's hungry. She wants to turn her season around, and she's got her teammate right behind her who, for the moment, might be willing to help her.
Yep, and we've got pretty much the entire top 10 and then some in lockstep with each other, going through turns 4 and 5 right here. Back a little ways to Miles Mashburn in 13th. You got to go quite a ways back to find 14th place Nick Ortiz, but everybody else doing a pretty solid job keeping touch with the lead group as they hit the brakes for turn 6.
And looked like Davey had to hit the brakes just a little harder to avoid rear-ending Duke Anzac, but they all keep it together, and now they're all in line. Who knows what we're going to see here with this?
Just as a reminder, Aaron Hall did get back on the racetrack after his excursion into the gravel trap, but he is now 2 laps down. As Patrick Smith and Julio Caesar, they go even faster than Mashburn did. And we got a whole host of drivers now into the 2-minute 19s.
Yeah. Too bad for them. They're mired back there 2 seconds, or in Caesar's case, almost 4 seconds back of the leaders, because those are fast speeds, and if those speeds continue, and these guys and gals get to fighting up here, yeah, you might want to look out for the 2 and 00, especially if they get good pit strategy later.
On the brakes hard for 13 once again. Davey thought about making a move on Anzac, tucks back in line, doesn't want to risk it, especially with all this runoff, all this sand traps that line this circuit. You do not want to get it stuck in those. Ask Aaron Hall for his experience. But making our way up through towards turn 16, and Anzac hard on the brakes. Mark Davey in hot pursuit once again.
He's taking another peek and thinks better of it for the moment. Seems to be, other than these two, things have settled down a bit.
Of course, as you say that, this race is probably going to turn on its head one way or another. We've seen how this happens at Road 1 as Mark Davey takes another look to the inside of Anzac, thinks better of it going in the 1. Does not want to tear up that really fast race car. I think the 97 is faster than the 83. He just needs to find a way around.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Duke is just as hungry as the guy in front of both of them to get another win, and I know Mark wants another win, but he's not as desperate as these two ahead of him are.
And remember, Duke Anzac's just quite a ways outside the playoff cut line. Bobo Jones even further back, so they need to get a move on to try and gather as many points as they can to even be in the conversation to make the playoffs, because there's only going to be 6 races left in the regular season after this race is over.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in. It's not for them. It's tougher than, say, like some of the others who've gotten to victory lane this year. And you don't want to have to worry about whether or not you're going to make the playoffs. You want to be able to be solidly in there, as it looks like we are going to start catching lap traffic here shortly.
That's Ricky Freeman Jr. in the 96. He is at least 10 seconds off the pace of the leaders. The leaders are running 2-minute 20s, 2-minute 19s. He's running in the 2:30s at the moment, so they are definitely going to catch him. If not this lap, then certainly the next one, as Freeman's just logging laps at this point, getting as many points as he can before pulling it in and calling it a day.
Yeah, and then he had someone else up ahead of him. I'm not sure who that was.
I think it was Stephen Gale in the 52, who is a teammate, by the way, of the race leader.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that Gale could play defense here on behalf of his teammate. And speaking of defense, Duke's back on it again. Okay, he's got it for now.
Yeah, Davey took a lot of curb in turn 15, but that all started when Anzac went really wide off of 13. Now Emma Kruger is going to try and find her way past the 97. They bang doors going through 17, but it looks as though Davey may hold on to the spot for the moment as the leaders catch lap traffic. And it looks like we got one on pit road, and it's Daniel Bouchard again. Something else must have happened to that 73 machine. We'll get you an update as soon as one becomes available. But here come the leaders swarming Ricky Freeman Jr. here.
Yeah, and Bubba Jones able to get by. Anzac's having a little trouble, but finally clears him. And now Mark Davies got the short end of the stick here. He's stuck behind that wounded car.
And that's his teammate, mind you. So this is, I'm sure Freeman's trying to get out of the way. There's just nowhere to go for him.
Yeah, that's the bad part now. Christian Vargas right behind him. This could get ugly.
Plus J.D. Martin and Devin Fair and Ben McDonald are all swarming, and they hit.
Oh.
And Vargas goes around right into the path of Mashburn. They make contact, and they're both out of the race just like that.
And as I was saying, yeah, sorry, Vargas, Mashburn, I jinxed you.
Just like that, the two championship contenders from 2 seasons ago take each other out of the Road 1 race on lap number 8. Through no fault of their own, they just got stacked up behind the lap car of Ricky Freeman Jr. And there is Stephen Gale also getting lapped. But that is 2 high-profile drivers getting eliminated, all because of lap traffic. It's a part of racing, and you hate to see it, but it's just one of the things that comes with high-speed tracks like this.
And now, once this all cycles out, we're gonna with the Vargas getting knocked out of the top 10 from that incident. I believe that opens the door for another player in the top 10, and I don't know. Depending on how quickly people can get by lap cars like Gale's, maybe we'll see some more contenders in the top 10.
And with Mark Davey getting pushed all the way back to 6th place, that introduces Patrick Smith into the top 5 for the first time this afternoon. He started this race back in 7th, and now he's up into the top 5 as Bouchard sits on pit road. Vargas completely out of the race, and Mashburn set to join him once he makes it back around.
And hopefully he can make it back around before the leaders get back to him, because that's not going to be a good deal if they get back up to him. He blocks off more of them.
But we've completed 8 laps, and Bobo Jones has led them all. Duke Anzac now running second, about 1.3 seconds off the lead. Emma Kruger, Sam Donato, Patrick Smith, your top 5. Davey falls to 6th, ahead of Devin Fair, Julio Caesar. Fitzwater now up to 9th spot, and Ben McDonald completes the top 10, ahead of Nick Ortiz, who's a few seconds behind him.
And that's gonna be a big thing for Fitzy, because we know he hasn't had the greatest of seasons, and he would, a top 10 would certainly make his day.
As the rest of the field now navigates Ricky Freeman Jr., Ryan Caggiano, Zachary Dolello, Mahendra, Lattimore, and the rest all trying to make their way back past. Oh, and Samit Oskin making his first start of the year since Silverstone. He gets hooked off the bumper of J.D. Martin. No harm, no foul, but he is going to lose 2 places.
That was pretty scary, I'm sure, but it'll be all right.
So Samit Oskin, who, like I said, making his first start since back in April, as Mashburn's still trying to make it back to the pits with that damaged car. Hope he's not dropping anything on the racetrack. We don't think he is. But as of right now, Bobo Jones holds the lead, and Anzac's not really doing much to gain on him.
Yeah, that incident really opened up the door for Bobo Jones to get out ahead, and I think right now it's all going to be about whether or not about if he has a good pit strategy later and what lap traffic might be able to do to him to get Duke back in the picture.
Yeah, so Bobo Jones holds the lead for now. It's going to be interesting to see if he can keep it, especially considering we've got pit stops coming around the corner here, as we've got Duke Anzac running second, Emma Kruger third, and a lot of traffic bunching up behind the 83. This is going to be very interesting to see if he can hold on to it.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to watch, and I know one thing that's going to be very interesting to watch is for the fans is whether or not that 16 is going to come across the line first at the end of this race. Right now, getting ready to come up to completion of lap 9, officially 10 to go, so we'll see what happens. This is going to be interesting.
Yep, and we've got a whole host of cars out of this race, or at least wounded for the rest of the day. As Kruger tries to make a move on Anzac going into the corner, nothing doing on that occasion. They are going to miss out on that. But looks as though Davey trying to make his way back to the front, and he just set up blistering pace, 2:19.2 that last lap.
That is a very quick lap, and the thing that I'm concerned about here is Duke Anzac. He's got a fast car, but with all these drivers behind him and faster vehicles, we might start seeing a stack up here. We see the 70 there, the 77 is right there, and well, Kruger trying to take a peek, and
oh, she put the bumper to him through turn 6.
Ever so slightly she did. That's better than what it could have been. And now they're side by side. Let's see what we got here. Duke's hanging on.
Through the chicane, no he's not. Emma Kruger up to second place with a masterful move through the chicane, and now onto the long back straightaway. So Kruger up to second. We'll see if she can chase down the leading number 16 Chevrolet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bubba's crew chief and spotters are all have gotten on the radio and said 70 is clear of the 83. You better watch out. She could be charging soon.
And remember, she won this race a year ago, so looking for a back-to-back run at Road 1 for Emma Kruger, and boy, would she need one. Because, like we said, deep in the point standings. Likely not going to make the playoffs at this rate, but a win fixes everything, or at least most things for a race team, and Emma Kruger trying to get there. With only 10 to go, though, and a pit stop still looming, anything's still possible. As it looks like we've had a few more cars knocked out of this race. William Brock and Dylan Young in the 29.
Yeah, that's going to be something that'll have to be looked at, see what happened, because right now, we got a lot to focus on up here at the front.
We're hearing it was in turn 17. You saw those skid marks right there. That looks like it was where Brock and Young got taken out of this race a few laps ago. But back up front, Emma Kruger, will see how much of a gap she's closed. She closed by about a quarter that lap. So she is gaining time on Bobo Jones. We'll just see how much for the rest of the day.
She's gaining inches at a time here through each turn as her teammates trying to find a way by Anzac here.
And Denoto hasn't been afraid to get physical here at Road 1. He knows what's at stake, so he's doing a good job keeping the car in one piece, but Duke Anzac's making it very difficult for him to get by.
And look back further back, back to the top 10. Julio Cesar going after Devin Fair back there, trying to make some moves. Can't tell if he got the job done or not, but right now, Kruger really closing in. She is hungry.
And hot on the brakes in the turn 6 as well, so the 70 car is making huge gains on Bobo Jones. We'll see if he can hang on to it, and if so, for how long, as they head into the chicane of 8 and 9 before the long back straightaway.
Yeah, still hanging in there tough, trying to get up there as Duke Anzac still holds her teammate up. And here comes Bouchard's car. Let's see what happens here when the catch.
Now he's about 8 seconds off the pace, so they are going to catch him pretty quickly as well. The question is where they catch him, and you see Keon Daly not that far up the road either. So when they catch these two, it's going to be very interesting to see how badly it impacts them. Or what I might do, as soon as I catch those guys, I might dive into the pits and make my pit stop, because you can definitely make it to the end from here.
That'd be the smart move, as you see Denoto trying to figure out the move by Duke and not for it there.
Yeah, that was smart. Side by side through turn 13, not for the bold, but Julio Cesar is definitely a bold one. He did take it side by side through there around Devin Fair. Fair trying to fight back, but Cesar gets his man through turn 15, takes the spot away. As it looks like Stephen Gale, his engine has expired in that 52. That looks like the damage was just too much for him to overcome. He will be out of the race as well.
Yeah, bad to worse for him. And I honestly think, talking about Julio Cesar, I'm pretty sure he did get by Fair earlier, and Fair was just trying to get the spot back. It didn't work. And what did work is that wounded Bouchard car helping out Emma Kruger there.
She cut the gap by 0.6 on that lap. Very, very impressive stuff from the 70 crew. But now she's trying to work on the 16, who is probably about as fast as she is, if not a little slower. But She needs to pick her spot carefully, because if she picks a really bad spot to make a pass, it could take both of them out of the race.
And speaking of taking out, I think Duke Anzac has officially been taken out of the top 5 now, because I saw that Denoto got by, and it looked like a few others got by him as well.
And not just that, but I think Ryan Caggiano has been taken out of this race altogether. Something must have happened to him a few laps ago. He is done for the day, as is Ricky Freeman Jr. He finally pulled it off track after realizing he was not going to be able to make much time up.
Yeah, I think this is the most pressure that Bobo has seen for several laps here. There's Keon Daly's car up ahead. They're slowly catching up to him, but I think not quite as quickly as they caught up to Bouchard.
Yeah, Daly's a little more on pace than Bouchard was. A bit surprising when you look at the front end of that 20 car. But here come Jones and Kruger through turn 11 and 12, down the hill of turn 12 before braking really hard for turn 13. If Kruger's brave, she'll try and move into here, but she might want to wait until turns 15 at best.
Yeah, that's smart going here, especially when they catch up to Daly. Although,
here she comes. Oh, just Boba slams the door shut going into turn 14. Kruger was setting up a move into there like I suggested, but Bobo was prepared for it and shut the door tight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's working things out with his spotters, and now he's definitely going to work his spotters. Got Kruger behind him, and Daly to his left now, and it looks like they're coming to pit road. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, they were just about to catch Keon Daly, so it's a smart decision for them to come in. Bouchard stays out; he's multiple laps down, but it looks like all the lead lap cars are using this opportunity to come to pit road right here and perform their one and only stop for service. Be interesting to see if they take tires here, because I don't think they really need them at this stage.
I wouldn't think so, with as little fall off as there is.
Yeah, no one's taking tires. They're just packing it full of fuel.
If that's all you need, that's all you need. More power to you.
And it looks like, coming out of the pits, it's going to be close, but Kruger gets the lead out of the pit lane. So, a smooth stop for Emma Kruger gets her out ahead of Bobo Jones. And Bobo's now got a mirror full of the Red Bull car, Patrick Smith in the 22.
Dr. Pepper versus Red Bull. Not a battle for the win, but there's McMillan. He's not having a good day.
He's on a different strategy, so he is up to 4th, but that's just because he hasn't pit yet for a second time. Jeffrey Finguy doing the same thing. It looks like everybody else, Liam Nolan, I think, pitted a lap early, so that's why you see him coming through. But it looks like, for the most part, everybody came that time, and Emma Kruger came out first.
And is running away. This is not what Bobo Jones wanted to see.
Yep, and he is under a lot of pressure from Patrick Smith, who's the highest running of the Finguy cars in this race. Patrick Smith's actually having a quietly astounding season in this first season with FPM. He entered this race, I believe, 5th in the points, and he's having a pretty strong day today. I would argue he might even move up a place, especially considering how a couple of the other guys have been doing.
When you got 2 of your competitors in the championship battle up ahead of you going out of the race, you have opportunities to move up, especially with as good a race as he's having right now.
As they run right now, I believe Patrick Smith would actually move up to 3rd in the points, considering Joshua Michaels is out of the race, Lane Sanders deep in the field, and Jeffrey Finguy also not having a great day. I think the only person he really needs to worry about is Devin Fair, who's a few spots behind him right now in 7th place. But that's likely to change here. Actually, this is the battle for 4th between Fair and Jake McMillan, who's yet to pit again. Whoa, he gets really slideways out of turn 13. That's going to be a really good save for that 21 team on worn tires.
And even though it's probably going to be all for nothing, it's going to be all for nothing when he has to pit again. This is a real good fight.
And meanwhile, Duke Anzac slipped back a bit, and McMillan still under fire from Devin Fair. We'll see if he comes in this time. I think he's going to hang it out a little longer, see if he can't try to make it to the end, but that's a long way to go as Keon Daly makes his stop.
And looks like Bobo's going to be able to pull away from Patrick here and try to get back up here to Emma, but that 70 is strong and has a determined driver.
Yep, and she is looking for back-to-back wins at Road 1. This would be an incredible accomplishment, especially considering how unpredictable this racetrack really is. So for Kruger to win here 2 years in a row, I know it's not over yet, but it looks close soon. As Mark Davey, he's trying to fight his way back up the field. He's now battling with Ben McDonald for the 8th position.
And that's a good spot to be in, but at the same time, Davey was in a much better position earlier in this race, and probably, no doubt wishes he was back up there.
There's Fair on McMillan again. This is a continued battle for 4th place that's really heating up as the run continues. Although, I don't think Devin's too worried about it, because I'm sure he's been told that McMillan has to pit again. So, he's just taking his time, doesn't want to risk tearing up the car. But if he's got an opportunity to get past that 21, start chasing down the 3 leaders, he will do so.
And you see right here, a little bit of shuffling toward the back of the top 10 as Donald gets by Davey. Now Fitzy's going after him.
Oh, they almost made contact. The 2 Australians almost came together, but no harm, no foul. They keep going. Davey falls back to the 10th position now as Fitzwater moves up to 9th.
And we know Fitzy loves these road courses, and no, except when he has problems at them, but that's just Fitzy. But he's doing a really good job now, and I'm sure he's really happy with where he's at the moment. Would love to be a lot higher up, but I think a top 10 would certainly make him a happy Aussie.
But one guy who's really frustrated now is this 16 of Bobo Jones. He dominated the early portion of this race, lost out on pit road, and now has a lot of ground to make up if he's going to get back past that 70 to win this race. So we're coming now to 5 laps to go. Not a lot of time left for the 16 to start making inroads.
Yeah, he's going to have to really put some effort into it as he's got a lot of space there to catch up. And I don't know if that lap car that I just saw go through turn 1 will be a factor, but I would suspect that Emma would be able to get by pretty quickly depending on who it is.
Yeah, we'll take a look in a moment, but Bobo Jones doing a solid job out front. Well, not out front anymore. He's out in front of Patrick Smith anyway in the battle for 2nd. These 3 have actually pulled away a decent chunk from the battle for 4th, which continues to rage on between McMillan and Fair. Off of turn 3, they continue to do battle heading into 4.
Yeah, McMillan's fighting pretty hard for someone who knows he's going to have to pit again. I think he's just determined to try as best he can, maybe salvage something out of this, but I don't know how much you can salvage when you have to pit again.
Yeah, but he's doing a good job, and remember, he led this race for almost the entirety of it last year before running out of gas in that whole fiasco on the final lap. So he knows his way around this place. It's a shame his day's gone the way it has, because he would have been a real threat today, I feel.
He's one of many who could have been a real threat today, but yeah, as they say, c'est la vie. That's life.
As Kruger comes up to lap that car, it is Daniel Bouchard again. So Bouchard's still quite a ways off the pace, but it looks like Kruger's going to try going around the outside of turn 11. That's bold if she's going to try and make a move there, but it looks like she's going to be able to clear the 73 heading down the hill.
And now Bouchard's kind of moving in Bobo's way. That, depending on how quickly he can find a way around, that might seal it for Bobo unless something happens at 70 here.
Which is not out of the question. We've seen crazy things happen at Road 1 in the past. Even today, we've seen crazy things happen. As Bouchard now forces Bobo around the outside of 14 and 15. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. But he is able to clear through 15. That's the good news, as Patrick Smith now takes his turn with the 73.
It doesn't look like he's having nearly as much an issue as Bobo did, so that's going to be frustrating. See the 70 get clear pretty quickly and then struggle, and then watch the 22 behind you get through pretty quickly. That would have to be very frustrating.
As you see McMillan, he does come into the pits now, coming to 4 to go. He realizes the game is up. He has to pit again. But the gap out in front has grown to about a second and a half now with 4 laps to go. This is going to be a really tough challenge for Bobo Jones to regain the lead now.
Oh yeah, definitely, because like I said, you got to watch the first place Evan Kruger and then second place Patrick Smith have a better time getting around the Bouchard car than he did, so that's going to be very frustrating for him, especially because that 22 is was putting some pressure on him.
Actually, I think he still is, going through turn 5. And remember, there's a big bump right here. You got to watch out for it. Right there. So they've navigated pretty well. We've seen some guys get squirrely through there before. They hit brake hard for turn 6. That is one of the bigger bumps on this racetrack. So going to be very tough for these guys to navigate it, especially on 16-lap-old tires.
Yeah, that's the challenging part about this, because as far as we saw, nobody took tires, especially in the front. So that's going to be the real challenge here, because while the wear is not terrible, these tires are really starting to feel the age.
Especially when you're doing 4.7 miles per lap and at a lot of high-speed corners, too. So the tires are taking a bit of punishment now, but they're still setting pretty good lap times despite that. They're still in the 2-minute 20-second range, which is about where they've been pretty much all day. But as they come down the hill now, towards turn 13, Patrick Smith trying to set up a move on Bobo, but he's a bit too far back this time.
Yeah, can't really set up a proper move if you've got a good bit of gap between you and the guy you're trying to get by, but Patrick's got a stout car, and he's carrying the Finn Guy Said Tell Me Motorsports banner today, which, frustrated as he is about his own struggles and what's going on with Dylan, with their other teammate Dylan Young, Jeffrey Finn Guy's got to be real happy knowing that at least one of their cars is up here doing something.
Yeah, because as you see Lane Sanders make a late pit stop, that's his second of the day. Remember, Dylan Young knocked out of the race early, and Jeffrey Finn Guy is quite a ways off the pace down in the 20s. So Patrick Smith, like you said, is carrying the banner for this team, and now with 3 laps to go, he is only 2.5 seconds off the lead, but if he's going to try and make a move towards this win, he's going to have to get past the 16 in a big hurry.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. Bobo was tough to get by before the pit cycle, and that was for the lead. He does not want to lose any more positions because he wants to be in a position to where if something happens to Kruger and she's not able to hold on to the lead, he can be in position to win.
So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting battle for the rest of this race. Going over this big bump again through turn 5, coming up on it there. It's going to be really close between these two for the rest of the day, I feel. But I think it's going to be a battle for second because Emma Kruger keeps extending her lead bit by bit, and we're coming to 2 laps to go this time.
And as much as she'd like to celebrate now, she knows it ain't over until the checkered flag waves and she passes under it. So
yeah, we learned that last year.
Yeah, you could just ask Jake McMillan about last year, and it's a sour note for him, but it's a lesson that was learned.
Yep, and 1UP has since changed the rules for this race to allow for expanded fuel cells to make sure they can guarantee that won't happen again. And as we're coming to 2 laps to go, it looks as though Kruger's just keeping on extending her lead, while Jones and Smith keep battling for second spot. Meanwhile, further back, Duke Anzac's fallen back to 7th spot, 11 seconds off the lead. Bit of a fall off for the 83, and he's under pressure now from Zachary Fitzwater in the 59.
And this is going to be a feel-good thing for Fitzy. I know it is, if he can hang on here, and even better if he can get by Anzac and finish one better spot than where he is. And that's a good thing for him.
So, but he's got to hang on for 2 more laps as Daniel Bouchard makes another pit stop. That car has just not been right since that big contact he had on the opening lap back in the back straightaway. But Emma Kruger now coming to 2 laps of racing to go from Road 1. This is going to be a really intense battle for the win here. Well, not really, but still, we like to think sometimes, because look at the gap. It's almost 3 seconds now between Kruger and Bobo Jones. Well, it would have been a great battle for the win if these two had just been that little bit closer.
Yeah, but, I don't think Kruger minds.
No, not at all.
2 laps to go, having no pressure from anywhere around her.
Well, except for maybe this 73 out front, she's going to lap yet again today.
And it's going to really infuriate Bobo if she gets by that wounded Dodge again with little to no issue, and he has struggles. So that's just going to be the story of the day for Bobo.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're fighting for second at this point. As Ben McDonald posts a really good lap, he takes over from Mark Davey to post the fastest lap with another 2:19.2. So McDonald closed a big time on Denoto in their battle for 5th spot, but we're focused on the battle for 2nd through 8 and 9.
And it's been heating up, cooling down a little bit, and then heating back up. I honestly feel like, as you see, like I said, that's going to be infuriating for Bobo to see that.
It is going to be pretty tiring for that 16 team to face, because he came so close to winning this race. He led 12 laps in this race. That's a lot here at Road 1. But just goes to show you got to be out front when it matters, and Emma Kruger has pretty much mastered that here at Road 1, because she's only about a lap and a half away from her 2nd win in a row at this track.
And 2nd win in a row, and 1st win of this, I believe, of the season. And it's been a rough year, like we talked about already, and I'm sounding like a broken record, guaranteed, but we can't say it enough. She wants this win, and she's a little over a lap away from securing it and finding something to be happy about this year.
As she makes her way through turn 17 and through the left bend of 18, she's going to see the white flag fly over her to start the final lap of this race, and she has got quite the big lead over Bobo Jones, who is now fighting past Daniel Bouchard. Patrick Smith gonna make a lunge up the inside, gonna try it into turn 1. Here we go.
And a little bit of leaning on each other here. Patrick's done waiting on Bobo.
Yeah, that's a big move by Patrick Smith. Shame it didn't pay off. So we make our way now into turn 3 for the final time. Looks like Bouchard's going to fall back into the clutches of Devin Fair and Sam Denoto in their battle for the 4th position, as Ben McDonald closes in on them as well.
And I just noticed, our man Zachary Fitzwater has really fallen off. Something happened to him.
Oh, and it did happen to him in a big way. He's coming to pit road right here on the white flag lap. Heartbreak for the 59, who was having such a strong day today. Now it's going to come all undone on the final lap again.
And this, he had such a good run going, and had a feel-good story practically in the bag, and well, just goes to show, like we said, don't celebrate until the checkered flag flies over you.
Which is now about half a lap away for Emma Kruger, who has had a miserable season. Only 2 top 10s this season, no top 5s through 13 races. And remember, she was the regular season champion a year ago, so a big fall off for this 70 team. But it looks like she's going to put all that right here at her big stomping grounds at Road 1 with a big win, which is going to be coming her way very soon.
And she's just got to mind herself. No pressure from behind, no flat cars in front. Probably going to be about a 4-second lead by the time she takes the checkered. And this is going to be a celebration that probably will not end until tomorrow or even later than that.
So coming through turn 17 for the final time, Emma Kruger is pretty used to this by now at Road 1. She's won here last year, and we're coming across the start-finish line now. She's going to win again this year. Emma Kruger takes the checkered flag at Road 1 for her first win of the season, and boy, did she need it. And Bobo Jones, a bridesmaid once again in 2nd place, but that's still a great result for him. Both he and Patrick Smith get their best finishes of the season so far. Devin Fair comes home in 4th position, a bit lonely back there, but he had a great battle with McMillan late before he had the pit. And Sam Denoto actually took the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. Pretty good for him to hang on to 5th place ahead of Ben McDonald. Duke Ansack just crosses the line ahead of Julio Cesar. They finished 7th and 8th ahead of Mark Davey in 9th place. He faded quite a bit at the end. And then you got to go another 3 seconds back to find Nick Ortiz in 10th spot, just ahead of Echo Evans-Ross and Roberto Crown Jr. But boy, we had a lot of intense action in the opening few laps that really took out some key contenders. We'll get replays of those momentarily, but what a big dominating win for this 70 team at the end.
And then a big heartbreak for Fitzy there. Had a top 10 going.
And now it's gone.
And then AJ Jones didn't have a very good day either. A lot of happy, feel-good stories. A feel amazing story. Looking at in the 70 car in the pits. I'm sure that whole organization will be celebrating this one, even if this is, especially with Denoto bookending top 5.
But now we'll get you some replays to cap off the telecast here at Road 1. Some big accidents early for a lot of good cars early on. Looks like it all starts going up the hill, and it's the 2 points leaders, Finguy and Michaels. Finguy just squeezed the 6 a bit too far, and that sets off a melee going into turn 10.
And all the different drivers that got taken out. Look, Michaels got at least partway airborne there. That's where Davidson got cleaned out.
And that's where Bouchard got all his damage, too. He finished 6 laps down as a result of this. But that's still better than all these guys who got wiped out on the opening lap through no fault of their own. It was just the slightest of touches, but Finguy just squeezed Michaels a bit too far. And I got to put the blame once again on that 92. He just gave too little room too early. And Michaels went actually on his roof for a moment there. Bolton with a big hit into Davidson, and then Bouchard comes in at the last second.
And a lot of good cars torn up. That's the way it goes sometimes, but it's not something anybody's happy about.
One last look at this with Joshua Michaels, and as they head up the hill, Finguy's just right alongside him. He turns left, trying to take the preferred line, but Michaels was already there. And it just touches off this massive accident going into turn 10 that took out at least 5 cars and wounded so many more.
One evasive maneuvers by Dalel over there. That could have been bad for him.
And Liam Nolan too just missed it. Oh, and Bouchard just skims the 38, takes him out of the event as well.
And we saw a lot of other drivers here that could have avoided this, but the accident moved in their path as they were trying to evade.
So here's the incident we saw earlier with Vargas and Mashburn. They all get stacked up behind Freeman, and then McDonald just hooks the 54, and then 72 just nowhere to go.
And it's just an unfortunate thing, and Mashburn, you got to feel for him. He had nowhere to go.
That took both of them out of this race on lap number 8, but it looks like the incident between... Oh, and look at these guys who just swerved to avoid that. So this was the Dylan Young-William Brock incident. This was, I believe, on lap 7. And looks like Young's going to get into the back of the 93. Nowhere for him to go, and they just missed taking Roberto Crown Jr. with them.
And it's taking quite a few out with them. They were very fortunate that they weren't more involved.
Absolutely. That could have been a lot worse than it turned out to be, especially for Crown. Like we said, he just missed it in the 55. So this was Zachary Fitzwater. He was coming to 2 laps to go in the race. They were lapping Lane Sanders. Nowhere for him really to go. Oh, and he does get turned by Mark Davey at the end. That is going to be really rough for them.
And it also looked like the 87 kind of pinched him into Davey a little bit, so that didn't help at all. And we know who the Clown Award's going to today, or at least I have an idea who Fitzy's going to give it to.
But that's just part of racing at Road 1, and for all these drivers, just took them all out in the wrong spot, and Fitzwater is going to be relegated to about a 28th place finish after running in the top 10 pretty much all day. But like I said, that's part of racing at Road 1, and for Emma Kruger, she nailed it.
Yeah, she nailed the pit stop. She was making progress before the pit stops, but then did the pit strategy and was able to get up to speed after clearing pit lane just that much quicker than Bobo Jones, and Bobo ended up playing defense on Patrick Smith the entire day because he realized at a certain point, I'm sure he realized there was no catching that 70 without something happening to her.
Yep, but that is going to do it for us from Road 1 International, from James Ellison, and from myself as well. We say goodbye for now. We'll see you again next week at the Vermont International Speedway for our 2nd annual trip there. It's going to be a lot of fun up in show in Vermont, right on the coast of Lake Champlain. It's going to be a lot of fun for us to see you guys there. So long until then, but congratulations to Emma Kruger. Finally put that wretched season to rest and gets her first win of the year and her second in a row at the Road 1 International Circuit.